Welcome to Grit and Grace, the place where grit shapes you, grace carries you, and friends walk beside you through it all. I'm Pam Rader, and along with my co-hosts Erin Payne and Brian Thiessen, we're here to laugh, cry, and tell the truth about what it means to be fully human. Think of us as your old friends. We share real stories, a little cowboy logic, and transformational tools. Because here's the thing, life's gonna kick your ass sometimes, but it'll also invite you to rise. And when you've got grit and grace and a few good friends, you will get through it all. So pull up a chair, grab your coffee, and buckle up. Welcome to Grit and Grace. I'm your host, Pam Rader. You've heard me talk about him. You've probably seen the cowboy hat, but who is Brian, the cowboy? Really? Today I get to sit down with the man who brings the grit, the wisdom, and a surprising amount of depth to everything he does. He's a former pro steer wrestler, a ranch-raised philosopher, and one of the most grounded, intuitive human beings that I know.
Thanks, Pam.
And if you've ever wondered what rodeo and relationships have in common, or why cowboy logic might be exactly what the world needs right now, you're in for a treat. So, Brian, most people see cowboy and they think about boots and bulls and bravado and maybe two-stepping and Yellowstone nowadays. But there's a whole way of being that comes with it. So what makes a cowboy a different breed from the rest of us city folk?
Well, I think for the most part, we're just a little simpler than everybody else. We just grow up different, I guess. It's, you're looking after animals. During rodeos, there's a camaraderie between all the, everyone sort of helps each other, even though we're competing against each other. Everybody sort of helps everybody. It's not that cutthroat sort of world we live in where everyone's competing against each other versus with each other. So yeah, it just makes cowboys just a little different, I guess.
Mm-hmm. So it's like more we than me.
Yeah, I mean, it's still, at the end of the day, you want to win and you want to be on top, but there's not many guys that'll step over top of somebody to do it. They're gonna, like I might haze for somebody and that same guy might haze for me to help me win. Or
tell people what hazing is, because no one has any idea except for you. Because you told me.
It's the other horse that's on the other side of the steer wrestler that holds the steer straight, and it might be a fellow competitor pushing your steer. He's not going to mess with them. He's going to help you. He's going to. So yeah, just that unsaid rule. You don't cheat your fellow competitors. You don't. You look out for each other.
You think it's like a higher moral code than the average person lives by?
It feels like it. It raised to do right, I guess. But I mean, we're not all perfect, but it seems like compared to some of the things I've seen in the city, it seems a lot more grounded.
More straightforward.
Yeah.
Right. So what makes somebody want to wrestle a 2,000-pound animal?
Well, it's not that. They're only about 600 pounds.
I don't know.
Bulls are 2,000, but yeah, I grew up, my grandpa was a rancher, and my parents team roped, and my uncle, he was actually got me steer wrestling when I was 15, and I don't know, looked up to him and thought, boy, this looks fun.
You thought it looked fun?
So, and that's I think what's crazy about the way of growing up. Like it's that fear thing that doesn't seem to be, people look at what we do and think, oh my goodness, like that's crazy. Like, what? But it doesn't even phase, like, I don't know, many guys.
So does it change your relationship with risk and fear? Like being around animals and watching people do dangerous things all the time? Like, do you get desensitized to it a little bit?
Well, it's sort of calculated risk. You know what cows do and you know what can happen, but you don't really think of the consequences because you've been riding horses your whole life. And well, I guess you can't let that into your mind because then you're in trouble. Like you can't do things scared. Such as life.
You don't think you can do things scared? Like I've been scared and done lots of things, but
yeah, I mean, not your best. It's probably not your best work, but you can go into survival mode for sure. But if you're scared of,
I guess when animals are involved, would they sense your fear?
Your horse, definitely.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, this steer he doesn't really know. He's
Are they
just,
dumb?
well, they're just trying to get away.
They're just trying to get away. They don't want to be thrown down to the ground, oddly.
Probably not.
Okay. So, um, so you learned from, or you got interested from your uncle and it was all around you. And then did you want to be a cowboy?
I actually grew up not really wanting to rodeo and do all the rodeo life. I was more of a hockey player and sports guy, and thought my brother did it, and my parents encouraged me to do it. By the time I hit about 18, I decided, you know what, I'm going to go to college. I'm going to go to the same school my brother went to in Wyoming, and then that's where it sort of switched for me, where I was just I felt like I was naturally good at it. So we tend to gravitate to things we're good at. So yeah, but no, I didn't start out really, loving it or having that deep-seated desire to do it, but
then you were just good at it.
yeah, and
It sounds like, though, if you were athletic, you would have been good at whatever you put your mind to.
Yeah, me and my brother were both, just that sort of naturally athletic, and whatever sports we tried, we seemed to excel at.
Do you think that being in rodeo, high stakes, fast decisions, like all the physical risk, gave you kind of a unique perspective for understanding humans?
For sure. Well, for me, with all that high risk and all this, and you talk to people and they're just in awe of what you're doing. And it actually started to make me question, well, why exactly, why is this so second nature? It's not scary. It's not any of the things. And so that's where I started to start to delve into the psyche of everything. Why I was naturally good at things when it came to rodeo, and I didn't have to practice as much. And
So you saw other guys trying really hard and maybe not being as successful as you.
yeah, like my
Did
brother.
that spark your curiosity? Did you just think you were a naturally gifted athlete, or?
Well, no, my brother was, I guess, my guidance, because he had to put in so much work that he just felt he had to. You have to pay your dues. You have to do, so many hours of practice. And I would joke about it and be like, oh, I don't need to practice. And he'd look at me like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, they just think about it. And he just sort of like, yeah, whatever.
So you were like a pioneer of visualization before they did that in sports?
Well, exactly. I didn't know, but I would come out of the winter every winter from thinking about it all, the whole off season, craving, wanting to get back out there. And I would think about it all winter and hadn't been practicing, and then come out in the spring and just win the rodeos and the calf roping. And I wasn't even much of a calf roper, but it was that visualization that I was doing the whole time.
So you and I talk about energy a lot because I'm a weirdo, but you had access to kind of what I would call like your spiritual energy at a young age. And you were kind of aware of that, which is different from most people.
Well, I was, because of that. Like, I couldn't, at the time, didn't realize that I had that going on until later. I was just craving to know why it was working for me, when I wasn't more special than the next guy, but it worked.
Right.
And it was like, and I knew it would work. And there was this higher feeling of, I can't do any wrong. This is just, it's almost easy.
But there's this thing that I know about you, and you have a lot of empathy, and you're aware of how everybody else feels around you. And there came a point when you didn't want to outshine everybody and you shut down some of that energy.
Well, it's true. Yeah. I would feel like, almost like it was a cheat.
Yeah.
And I felt like, well, it should be harder. It should be harder. I should have to work harder. I should.
So you had the belief that you have to struggle to be successful.
Yeah. Well, that's the old paradigms everyone talks about. You got to work hard for money, or you have to pay your dues. You've got to put in so much before you're worthy of winning in life.
Right.
So
what do you really think about that?
I think that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, why would, that's just.
It is whatever we say it is, right?
Absolutely. Like, I know now, and I'm just, after 30 years, realizing I want that back. I want to go back to that 20-year-old that felt like he could do anything without, with ease.
I think it's the sort of, we all go through a dark night of the soul, though. We take turns that lead us down different paths, and then we learn what it is not to have a certain thing, and then we value that thing that we took for granted before. And I know that you are really like starting to value that piece of yourself and that energy. And I don't think you could have valued it as much had you not completely lost touch with it for 30 years.
Absolutely. And I think I actually did it on purpose. I shut it down because mostly for my, not for my brother, but because my brother, I was younger, but it was just easy. So I felt like I was cheating somehow. So I had to put that on lockdown.
Right. You felt guilty. You didn't want to make your brother feel bad, or
I don't know. It was just
that's that cowboy thing you were talking about at the beginning, all taking care of each other.
And just sort of being like on a fair playing field. And it almost felt at the time. And then by the time I went professional, it was hard to gain it back because I'd already put those barriers in a little bit. Yes and no, because at first it only took me a year as a professional to make the finals, which are the top 10 in Canada. But once I hit that mark quite easily again, then I went back into...
You froze a little bit.
Yeah.
Because you're breathing new air now. You're in a space you've never been.
Yeah, and it was like, and it was big because it was, some people go their whole life and don't make the finals. And
How old were you when that happened?
27.
Wow.
Yeah, so I turned pro in 97 and made the Canadian finals in 98. And then it was like, I sort of lost my lust for the rodeo. I went to Calgary the next year, and then I just sort of petered out and I never excelled again. I just sort of went a couple more years and retired.
That energy, it's like the word enthusiasm means something like, I'm not getting it right, but it means something like infused by the gods. That's what enthusiasm actually, the word comes from, something like that. And I think like when you shut down that's what your energy is. It's like that infusion from source or something, right? It's like from something bigger. And then if you shut that down, now you're just a mere mortal like everybody else.
Yeah. And it without that drive, and I've said that to my son when it's hockey or whatever it is, without that fire inside, and you're pulling from source, like you're pulling that energy in. And when you have that, it doesn't matter who it is, they're unstoppable.
I think everyone has it. Yes. But I think some people, when they live other people's lives, whatever their parents say they should do or other people say they should do, and they might miss having some kind of passion in there that they never really tap into it. So they feel kind of empty and they've never had, but you had this incredible experience of what it felt like to ride that wave of energy and to be infused with all of that and harness it and use it. And that's like a really rare gift to be able to experience that. And I think that's why you're an amazing teacher to other people, because you've touched something that a lot of people haven't touched.
Yeah. And it was by accident, like most things are.
Like most things, yeah.
I was too young to know any better. Nobody had told me I couldn't. Well, they did. They said, you have to practice, you have to do this. And I'm like, no, I don't. No. Like, what do you mean? And then through time, you sort of, you start to listen and lose your...
Yeah, it's almost like, when little kids are little and they think they can do anything and they don't think twice about it, and then it gets kind of beat out of them by friends and school and family and everything else.
Or they think they see things.
But you just like had that till you were 20.
Yeah, it just happened consciously.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So most people might not expect a cowboy to quote Bob Proctor or talk about universal laws, but you actually studied with Bob Proctor, who's one of the most well-known voices in mindset and manifestation. And can you tell us what made you want to go do that? That seems like a random thing for a cowboy from Quesnel to do.
I wanted to figure out why I did or could do what I could do. And I also sort of wanted to get it back.
Okay. So you didn't attribute it to your genetics. I mean, for those of you who are listening and not watching, the man is buff and very athletic. So you didn't, like most people would just be like, well, it's just
Yeah, no, I
genetics.
didn't buy that. They don't.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're all in one different meat suit or another. And there's guys that are little that can steer wrestle, and there's guys that are big that can steer wrestle, but there's guys that always win. And there's guys that are very athletic and they're very gifted and they don't win. And I was like, why is that? Why does one guy win always? You know, because I practiced with all of them. Lee Graves was a friend of mine. Grew up high school rodeoed, and he won the world twice. He was very uncoordinated. When it came to throw a ball at him, he might not catch it. But he knew, like he had that drive and he had that belief system. He was going to win. And he would always win at the big rodeos. And why? Always the big ones. Like, why do people shine under pressure?
So what'd you learn from Bob Proctor about your mind and mindset?
Just that. It's what we think about, we bring about. Right. And you add that with a belief system and you can attract anything into your life. And I had this uncanny belief system that I just could win, or I was just good. I was just good at whatever I touched. That's what I thought. At first, I probably thought, oh, it's because I'm athletic or whatever it was. But then I realized, no, I'm not necessarily bigger or stronger than that guy, but I can do things he can't do. So it just intrigued me to know what was causing.
What's your favorite thing that you learned from Bob?
Probably just that, you know, one of my favorite things, one of the more frustrating things, because, you know, we also attract the bad things into our life.
I was so mad at you recently because something kind of bad happened in my life. And you asked me, what do you think you did to attract that? And I was like, I did not attract that. And
well, and that's the hard pill to swallow, is that we attract the good, but we attract the bad. We're busy. Well, one of my favorite things he told me was, it's like getting out of debt. He said, getting out of debt's the worst thing you'll ever do. He said, if you're thinking debt is coming. Think about prosperity and the debt will disappear. But if we focus on debt, whether that's get out or get in, either way, debt's coming.
Right.
So, and that can be used for anything in your life, whether that's I want to win a rodeo, or if you see yourself winning the rodeo and believe you can do it.
Or if you're afraid people are going to leave you, or you're afraid of sabotaging, because everybody has a different form of self-sabotage, right? Like whatever they're afraid of, and they think about it a lot. So they're going to bring it.
Yeah. If I hope they don't leave me. I hope they don't leave me. And they're leaving.
Yeah.
There's nothing you can do.
Yeah. That happened to both of us.
Absolutely. 22 years and gone.
Just gone.
Yeah.
What did that do to you?
Well,
so you had a 22-year marriage.
That was
and
rough.
You thought it was great.
Yeah. Thought we were all good.
Yeah.
2 great kids. You know, life was good. But I know, even thinking back, that, I thought it was like all of this that I've learned. It didn't feel like at first I was a little jaded by it. I didn't know. I'm like, well, maybe this stuff doesn't work, or this isn't right. But that was more of the pain and the, you know, and then knowing that probably there's a good part of it that I attracted that into my life. And over time, like, you know, when we get away from the pain and the hurt, then we start to realize that, well, you know, maybe it was what we needed to get to where we are today.
Right. Like, do you think that right now you would be, and we'll tell them later what's happening, what we're creating, but do you think that you'd be like in this endeavor to get back this connection with your energy and to share what you've learned about mindset and to help other people if you didn't have that rug pulled out from underneath you?
No, that's the bittersweet, I guess, because this is something I've always wanted to do. I've always wanted to tell my story or help people figure these things out in life. And myself and my ex, we were on the same energy.
Yeah.
And I needed to get away from that.
But you wouldn't have, because you're Cowboy.
Yeah.
And the code. And
I would never have.
So it had to be that way.
I was never going to leave.
So if you wanted something bigger and you thought about wanting something bigger, not necessarily that your marriage was bad or that you didn't want her, but you want something bigger, you attract the destruction of your marriage. And I did the same thing.
Yeah, I didn't say I didn't want my husband. I didn't say I
No,
didn't
I
want it.
wasn't. I
It was
wasn't
easy. It was happy. It was all of that.
at the
But
time.
I wanted something bigger.
I wasn't unhappy with my wife, or I loved
Yeah.
my family, my kids, the unity. That's what made it so hard.
Yeah. So you totally lost your identity. You had a cowboy identity, and then you were like a family guy, and you loved being a dad and being in the house with your kids, and
Yeah, I
loved
pretty much
being a
gave up
husband.
the whole cowboy life, the whole identity. And yeah, I was just
So did
dad.
it throw you completely for a loop? Like, who am I now if I'm not
Yeah,
this family guy and I'm not a cowboy?
absolutely. Yeah, I was lost for probably a good couple of years.
Yeah. But
You
I
know,
think that we all have to like burn down the old parts of ourselves to decide who we want to be now. Otherwise, we just are stuck in like a hell loop.
well, yeah, and that was meeting you and talking and sort of rediscovering my old self, and then realizing that, oh, I really like that 18, 20-year-old cocky kid that could do anything he wanted.
Yeah.
And I used to think, well, we all did. We're in
Yeah.
our 20s. We weren't scared of anything. Well, we weren't scared of anything because we believed that we could do anything.
It worked to my detriment. You had a little bit more success. I was pretty cocky when I was 19, and then I married Steve Cassidy. That did not go well. That was like, got out of me after that. But like, yeah, I was brave, and I didn't think there was any, and I would go against what anybody said. And I still have that aspect to me, and I'm just getting that back a little bit too.
When it didn't all work out for me, so.
No, well, maybe it all worked out perfect.
Well, I mean, it feels that way now.
So the law of attraction, if we think about it, we bring it about. If we're worried about something, let's talk about worry. We used to be worrying about people leaving, but we just worry about everything as human beings. We're worried about what people think about us. We're worried about our status. We're worried about money. We're worried about our health. We're worried about everything. So how much do you think our mindset plays into the state of the world right now is so shitty? Is that just people have undisciplined thinking?
Really, that's exactly what's happening with the world. We're all on well, not all, but the majority of the population is looking at the chaos, and they're watching the news, they're regurgitating it, they're talking about it, they're amped up, they're angry, or they're happy, whichever side, the left, the right, but they're all focused on the one thing. Whatever their media at the time is pumping them, they get amped up, and they're giving their energy to it. So that just becomes worse.
Okay. I don't watch the news. You don't either, right?
Never.
No, I don't watch the news. Sometimes I feel like an idiot because I go out and someone's like, oh, all of California burned down or something. I'm like, I had no idea. But I found that I have to protect my energy and I have to protect my space. And if I'm absorbing or taking in all of that negativity, then my mind gets programmed to look for all of that bad stuff. And I seem to then have chaos around me in my life. But when I surround myself with just people like you and people that are disciplining their mind to think about what they want to create in the world, then everything flows.
And that worry that the next politician is going to bankrupt our country, or whatever that worry might be, it's not going to help the problem.
No.
It's not going to, and it will only bring pain to you or bad energy. The word disease is dis-ease. So we just need to stop worrying.
I say doubt your doubts.
Yes.
Yeah, doubt your doubts, because doubt will take you out.
Yeah, I mean,
if you doubt it, I imagine when you're trying to wrestle a steer, you're going to get hurt.
That's we used to say, you need to go run a confidence builder. So go run a steer that's really good, because you might have run a few that you screwed up, so you start doubting your ability. So you just go run an easy one. Just get because we all do it. You mess up 2 or 3.
Well, I think doubt is kind of it's like a human experience. It's always this dance between doubt and our purpose, like finding our purpose. And some people never overcome it. But then if you go through a big period of doubting yourself and the darkness and all of that, and then you climb out of it. I feel it's kind of our responsibility to reach back and help other people that are in that, like, confidence builder, like for us to be confidence builders to other people, because we've been through the stuff and we know, well, you know how to throw the steer and I know how to do other stuff that's not as cool. But
well, and that actually brings up a talk like with my brother. We were practicing one winter and he probably caught 10 in a row for me by 2 feet. He missed one and he couldn't catch me for the rest of the night. And I just looked at him like, what are you doing? But he was so worried about screw ups that he would do one screw up and he would analyze it and worry about it. And I would just look at him and go, well, just do it. And he looked at me, and he wasn't probably till a few years ago that he finally said to me, and at that time, again, I didn't know I just knew what was in my mind. And I'm like, well, you don't think about picking up a salt shaker. You just do it.
do you think, like, because he was the oldest son, was he more criticized in your family?
I don't know if he was criticized more, but he was probably more, and I know from my son, you're more worried about them and you're more critical. Like you want them not to, and by the second child, you've eased up a little. So they're worried about screwing up because you run around and you're trying to, don't do that. Don't do that. Yeah. And then by the second one comes, like, pull that on your head. You're fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, he couldn't understand. And I didn't have the tools to explain to him, but I was just like, well, just let it go.
Right.
And just do what you know how to do. Just react. But he would just get the worry in his mind, and you would just watch it overtake him.
I do lots of mindset training with people, and I teach people that you have to practice twice as much to think about what you want, because we have a negativity bias, and we buy into that. Then it's like building the muscle. It's like lifting a weight for one biceps and you're making it really big and the other one's weak. You have to work hard at looking for the good and looking for what we want. How do you do that?
You just have to consciously think of the good, after a while. And if you find yourself thinking about what you don't want, you need to snap out of that right away and then just turn your direction to.
Yeah. The thing about it is, I think you have to get a trigger that leads you to knock you out of that. Otherwise, you're just in the movie that you're making in your head. So for me, it's like if I have an undesirable emotion, if I'm like, ooh, I feel anxious or I feel pressure or whatever, then I have to go, oh, what was I just thinking about? Because it's the thought that creates that emotion.
Yeah, we're a feeling being. We feel everything into being.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm a big one on my energy and my feeling, and it's partly what tunes me into everything that I do.
You guys, this man has energy. I can't even believe when you're sitting next to him, you can feel his energy circulating around you, and it's crazy.
And that's my guidance. When it gets tight inside and it feels like you're saying, you feel angst. It's like, okay, wait a minute, what am I doing? It's not always what's around you. It's you. You're leading yourself down the path of destruction because you're thinking of what you don't want instead of, or worry or, and most
even
things,
you probably do that sometimes.
For sure. That's natural. It's the natural. We see things that we don't want and we're like, ooh, and we give that attention. And we need to just go the opposite way. And like, well, what's the opposite of it? What would you like to see?
Yeah.
Yeah. And we can take just the way we perceive something, how we can change. We look at something in a certain light, it's negative and we don't like it. But if we look at it, maybe we just come at it at a different angle. All of a sudden, that same thing really is no big deal. And now that's a positive.
It's all what we make things mean. That's what creates the emotion, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if we make it mean something different, we can have a different feeling about it.
And if it's just something you don't know how to deal with or how it's, just leave it, let it go somewhere else.
So Cowboy logic could be a book, right? But it's, I feel like the world needs more of that. Just that simple kind of logic. And I think people overcomplicate everything. I hear in my coaching practice all the time, people are, I'll ask them about something and I just hear patterns. Like people tell me stuff and then I hear the pattern in it. And there's only about 5 things wrong in the whole world. There's nobody's story is all that special, mine included. And I hear the pattern underneath. And as soon as I call it out, they immediately go, it's more complicated than that.
It's quite a bit bigger than that. And that would be the cowboy logic. If it's not broke, don't fix it.
Yeah.
We're not that complicated.
Right.
There's like you say, there's only a few things that we can get in check, but boy, we can run amok and we can make things a lot bigger than they are.
Mm-hmm.
And I think,
why do you think people do that? What do they get something from it, like a charge out of it, or do they like being like victims, or what do you think?
I don't really think we're taught to think. People think that we regurgitate old memories, and I think that's thinking. Well, it's not thinking. You're just regurgitating old stuff. Thinking is consciously making your mind go to what you want. Mm-hmm. It's not easy all the time, or we're thinking what other people would want us to do, or we're worried about. But when we look inside ourselves, like, what do we actually want?
Yeah.
And hold that.
Yeah. Because we're the same age. Well, you're a little bit younger than me.
Oh, I'm quite a bit younger.
Quite a bit younger, like 3 months. Yeah. But like I said to you, I'm 54. I'm going to do whatever I want. And it's the first time in my life that I'm actually not considering what everybody else wants from me. And it's actually hard work to kind of go to get underneath all of that, like years of considering my kids and my family and all the things. And then
who are you going to blame?
Yeah, right. We don't want to take responsibility. And now I'm totally ready to take responsibility for whatever, because what I realize is there's no failure. It's just, we're just living and we're experimenting and we're figuring things out. And I feel more like a little kid at 54 than I did at 24.
Yeah, it's too bad we have to live this long to figure these things out. But, and I mean, I've told my story about, I worried about my brother all the time. Mm-hmm. Well, he didn't want me to worry about him.
No.
What was I worried about? He didn't want me not to succeed.
Yeah.
But it was just that
was your perception at the time.
And it was maybe my excuse not to be great.
Something. You put a governor on yourself.
Yeah, because a lot of us are like, what happens if I give it my all and I fail?
Or what happens if I give it my all and more is expected of me?
Yes.
Yeah. Like I think for me, I'm a little bit more afraid of success because I'm already tired sometimes. I'm already like, I don't know that I have more that I can give. And then, so I think we limit ourselves from that success because you actually have to claim like a new identity to live at a different standard. If you're winning all the time, if you're living a different level of success that you don't know, you've never lived that before, you actually have to claim the identity of someone who lives in that world. So it's like a destruction of yourself, your now self.
And it's something we've never seen or experienced. So it's going to be scary.
Yeah.
But if we would just live in this big energy and just let that be.
So we both met this beautiful human named Luis, who's a teacher of mine, a friend, and he's quite an accomplished yogi, and he was talking about it in terms of casting spells, which I really like. It's like we're living in whatever spell we have cast. So if we cast a spell of doom and gloom and everything's happening to me and the world is a terrible place, then that's the movie that we live in. So if we are just casting spells, shouldn't we cast beautiful spells?
Yes, the same as Bob Proctor said. It's your novel. Write it.
Yeah.
Write it the way you want it to be.
Yeah.
Who do you want to star in it? How great do you want it to be?
And people will say, yeah, but, and I can't because. And my teacher Baron always said everything after but and because is bullshit.
Yeah, it's our excuses not to succeed.
Yeah. Yeah. So whether we're afraid of failing or afraid of succeeding, there's fear there that stops us. But really the fear is who we have to become.
And we're going to have to shut the TV off. And we might have to do a little exercise or, things that it's just like exercising. You're going to have to do things for days, months before you're going to see any results.
I think, you talked about like things coming easy to you, but it's not like you're undisciplined. Like you're extremely disciplined. I'm pretty disciplined. Like discipline leads to freedom, the repetition of things, taking care of yourself. I think people think of cowboys as reckless and kind of like just, whiskey guzzling, whatever.
Might be.
But also there's a discipline there, a willingness to just do the thing that needs to be done without complaint.
Yes, and that's sort of, cowboy up.
Yeah.
Right? It hurts.
Yeah.
I blew my knee out at Calgary Stampede one year, and then I went down the East Run with a tore up knee, but it's just like, well, I'm entered.
Yeah.
Just get at her.
Yeah.
I remember talking to the sports medicine team, and they said, well, when can I run my next one? And they're like, what? And he says, you can't. I said, well, in 2 days I have a steer I got to run. And he just shook his head and he said, oh, cowboys.
Yeah.
Because that's what we do.
Yeah.
Just,
yeah.
it's just get her done. And we don't really think about, just cowboy up and get her done. So discipline, yes.
What do you notice about people that overcomplicate things in love or business or healing or like any of that stuff? What do you notice about those kind of people?
They never really accomplish much because they get stuck in the details. They're so busy making it harder, or I got to do this and I've got to do this and I've got to, when really they just need to think it into reality, believe in themselves. They get more stressed. They're usually people that tend to be sick a lot. Their immune system gets out of whack. It's never seems to be a productive way of being.
So something that people don't think about is, you think of cowboy and you think tough, right? Like you just talked about that, like your knee blown out and you're at Calgary and everyone would have told you no and you should pull out, but you do that. But also there's this really big, like you're so soft in so many ways. I've seen your eyes leak a couple times. It's dust and your allergies. Yeah. And you have quite a soft heart, a lot of empathy. What do you think about the importance of cultivating both of that, especially as like you're a very masculine man and a lot of people would think that you didn't have access to that. But how important is it for men to develop empathy and compassion and that soft side of them along with their masculinity?
Well, it's huge. It's like the light without the dark. Like everything has to have contrast. I mean, you can be as tough as nails, but you're that much tougher with a soft side because you have that contrast. We can't do anything without compassion. I think that feeds our soul. Like if we're hard and jaded and angry, well, that's not a good energy.
Well, there's lots of cocky assholes out there that think they're tough and I think they think that empathy makes them weak.
Yeah. Well, that's the difference between confidence and cocky. Confidence, you're good and you're okay. Cocky, you're just trying to make everyone else think you're okay.
Yeah.
Like you don't believe it.
Yeah.
Not one of those guys believe it.
Yeah.
And they're not tough.
Yeah.
And they're not manly. They're posers. Is what, most cowboys would call them. It's, because when it really comes down to the nut cutting, as they would say.
Yeah.
They're going to run away. They're not going to be the guy that's in your corner.
Yeah. There's a song on the radio right now that says everybody wants to be a cowboy till it's time to be a cowboy.
Yeah. Till there's cowboy shit to do.
Yeah. Till there's cowboy shit to do. So I know you would never say that you're a spiritual teacher, but you've taught me more about being present and trusting life than most people. How did you figure that out? I mean, you've said to me more than once, like, just be here. Just, what are you doing?
I've always felt there's something more, obviously, whether that's, some people call it God, some people call it universal energy. There's just something bigger. There's something more. There's something that drives this. Whether it's, the law of attraction is more like the law of energy. Good energy brings more good energy. So that would be my spiritual. That's right. I could always feel it. There was something that was my quest. I was like, why am I like this? Why can I feel this? Why can I can feel your energy. I can give you mine. I don't have all the answers to it, but I just know it's there. And I think that's scary for some. They don't know what it is. They can't label it. So
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think we need to label it. It's what powers us. And
So you've given us lots of wisdom, insight into being a cowboy. And we had this brilliant idea to put together retreats where people get to experience like movement and inquiry that leads them to discovery, and also just in a really no bullshit way with like simple cowboy logic and hopefully a lot of fun, some campfire philosophy, some maybe some two-step in, maybe we'll even get the cowboy doing some yoga. We'll
oh
see.
boy,
Boy, tap into that soft
Ah.
side of you.
a little CrossFit maybe.
Yeah, but like, why should people come to her like that? What's different about it?
Well, just like you said, it's going to be more of a no nonsense take on things. It's not a lot of fluff,
Yeah,
right? I mean,
yeah,
we're always getting sold fluff.
yes,
It's the meat and potatoes of it, the cowboy, the way I was raised.
yeah,
It was the simple things. Right's right, wrong's wrong. There's not a lot of gray areas in there.
right.
And that's sort of been my philosophy with learning these different ways, I think. And we, of course, should always have fun.
Yes,
We're always doing.
we're gonna have so much fun. And I think it's going to be an extraordinary experience with Aaron, me, you, with everybody offering their different gifts in a way that makes it a really well-rounded experience for people. But I know I want people to leave these retreats feeling like a little bit more free. What do you want people to get out of it?
Free of your restraints, which is usually yourself, just to be open up.
Like be more authentic, more themselves.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just to let that energy flow.
Yeah.
Right. Don't be.
Yeah, because it's like a high cost of if you're not being yourself. It's
it's stifled.
Mm.
Yeah. We don't need to worry about other people think. They're busy thinking of themselves.
Yeah, I love
Right.
that.
We're
I
just
love that. Okay, so if you had one piece of wisdom that you would give to everybody listening before you go, what would you say would be like a universal piece of advice?
don't sweat the small stuff.
Yeah,
Don't
don't worry. Don't worry, be
Don't-
happy.
don't give your energy to it,
Yeah.
because most times it never comes to pass anyway. All
Mm,
these things we worry about, they never even come to pass. So
yeah.
we wasted all those hours, minutes.
Yeah.
You probably notice every time you've ever worried about anything, it just builds and builds and builds till you can't sleep. You stay awake,
Mm,
and you think, why can't I go to sleep? Well, it just attracts more of
yeah.
what you're thinking. So yeah, don't worry.
Don't worry. So if you're worried about anything, if you're stuck in your life, if you're just wanting to change or you feel like you don't have purpose, we invite you to come out to the Grit and Grace retreat, where our first one will be April 2026. It's going to be incredible in the Caribou country of BC. If you want to find out more, check out the show notes. But until next time, I'll leave you with, you can dream about the cowboy.